we are privileged to have somebody who I've certainly been following afar, individual that has been on a number of radio talk shows with Rick Roberts and people like that. He's done a number of speaking engagements. I've watched some of his YouTube videos. And his name is Nick Novello, and he was born in Bronx, New York, and served in the Navy, and then, of course, has been in the area of law enforcement, has been really 3 decades behind the wheel of a Dallas police patrol car. And that is certainly enough. We could thank him for his service. But he's also really wanted to talk about police reform and really educate us about what might be considered the dire situation of the Dallas police force. So I just think it is great that you could come in the studio today and talk about some of these important issues.
Well, it's a real privilege and a pleasure for me to be here.
And again, thank you for your service. And also, a little bit later, we might even share some of your conversion, because it's a powerful story as well. But let's get into this, because anybody that's been paying attention to this has seen you on television, heard you speak on various issues, and we recognize that we're putting our citizens in danger. Nick, one of the things I sometimes say when we talk about Second Amendment is when seconds count, the police are just minutes away. But in the case of Dallas, sometimes they're an hour away. Talk about that, if you might.
Well, you know, Kerby, a good many things that I've posted to my Facebook account in the interest of the public welfare show that Dallas has become, quite frankly, dysfunctional. When I spoke before the city council in August of 2017, I made a number of statements, and one of which was that in a free and open society, the first requisite is order.
Yes.
And that's my job.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in Dallas, they've undermined that. You know, I want to make a point that's so important regarding the policing function in America. Right now, we have a system based on consent. And that system of consent is based on trust, that we're within constitutional context in how we do our jobs. Well, I submit to you today in America, it began with President Obama. But that trust has been undermined to the point where it's no longer tenable, particularly among black and brown communities. So what I see happening, and I'm not clairvoyant, but I'm still working, we're morphing into a system and moving away from consent. And if we're not careful, we're going to have a policing function based on coercion. And that's where we are moving. We're moving towards a monolith. Initially, when I began to speak, I thought what I was speaking to was specific to Dallas. And then I came to find out that every major city in this country run by liberal progressives have done this to the policing function. There's chaos in cities, but I will be very specific to Dallas. My talking points are principally driven by the fact that if we can't do what's fundamental to the policing function, answer your calls for service, then what is one to make of prostitution, gambling, gang activity, other white-collar crime dynamics? I submit to you they're not being addressed in Dallas right now.